So let's take a look at updating our ship script so that we can add a GUI and we can add things like ship speed and ship lives and our kill score. Okay, so let's take a look at creating a comment. So I'm going to put 2 dashes here. Now this doesn't actually get processed by the compiler, which in our case is Unity. It's sort of an indicator to other programmers what our code is doing. So for example, like this is our ship's speed. Okay, and then let's create another one. I'm going to steal this line from Unity, and I'm going to say these variables are for our GUI. So let's go ahead and make a public int ship lives. This is going to be how many lives our ships has. So I'll set that to 3. You can change that to whatever you want. Let's make another one called kill score, and let's make that equal to 0. Okay, now we need to use another. I'm going to delete start because I'm not really doing anything with start right now. We could always add it later. And we already know that's updated once per frame. So underneath our update, I'm going to use another method that's created by Unity, and it's called onGUI. So I'm going to do void on GUI. And don't make the same mistake I did. It's capital G, U, and I. And the GUI that's built into Unity is fantastic. It has a bunch of built-in stuff that we can use. So I'm going to use a label. So I'm going to do capital G, capital U, capital I, dot, and then I'm going to do label. And that's a method that's already created by Unity. And inside of it, it has 2 parameters. One is what kind of label are we going to create? Think about a label on a jar. And I'm going to create a new label, and the shape is rectangle. Now again, that's another method, and so it has parentheses. So you can see here that it says void label rectangle position. So the position for now is I want it to be in this corner here. So if I go to void, if I go to game object create other, and I create another cube for now, right? And I move that up here into the corner over here. It's about 6 and 5, right? So that doesn't necessarily translate perfectly because that's from the center point here, and I don't know the center point of my label, right? So let's go ahead and just do 6, 6, and then I have to adjust the scale of it. You can see the width and height of my label. So I'm going to do comma 200, comma height, and you can see it's really nice because it underlines it for you. Now the next thing that comes after it is, what do I want it to say? Well, I want it to say score, right? I'm going to put a colon here, and I'm going to space that out, and I want to add some information after it. So I'm going to put the plus sign, kill score. All right, and we know kill score is 0, so I'm hoping that I'll see score, kill score in the corner up here. So let's delete that extra cube that we made. Let's save this. Let me maximize that so you can, if you need to pause the screen to really write down the code, if you're doing it by hand first. I generally write the code by hand and then code it, just to kind of reinforce it in my memory. All right, so let's go ahead and press play. And you can see in the corner we get score 0. Awesome. I'm always happy when code works. So you probably guessed that I want to do ship lives too. And to kind of keep it in sync, I'm going to take my ship lives, because I have it first in my variables here. I'm just going to leave it first here. So score, instead of score, I'm going to do ship lives. Let's space that out. Ship lives. And I believe this was the height position of it. So let's make this one 10 and save that. I'm going to shrink that down, and then I'm going to press play. And I am missing the semicolon. So, which looks like either I have 2 yep, there's no semicolon there. So let's go ahead and hit Control S and save that off. Should get rid of our error. There we go. And they're right on top of each other. Let's go ahead and adjust that again. Maybe we'll go 20. Save that off and see where that puts us. It's not really adjusting it. Let's see. I'm going to send it way off to see where it puts it. Oh, put it to the left. Oh, okay, so that's why. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, I kind of like the way that looks. I'm going to leave that alone. So ship lives and score are on top. If it goes down, well, if our ships are coming from above, that might be in the way. All right, let's adjust that. Let's leave this at 6. First tutorial in this. That's a little bit better. So I'll do 25 to space that out. I think we're good after that. Do 25, save that. Okay, we have a few minutes in this tutorial, so let's go ahead and create a bullet. So I'm going to go to Game Object, Create Other, and I'm going to make a sphere. And let's position it to where just sort of the center of our cube is. Okay, something like that. I'm going to scale that down. So let's say that's how big I want my bullet to be. So I'm going to go back to models here, and I'm going to drag this in. And I'm going to change it from sphere to bullet, prefab. I'm going to right click, create a material. And I'm going to name this bullet, prefab, material. And drag this onto my bullet. Let's bring this down here. And I'll make my bullet red. Maybe purple, because I'm going to have ships that are red. And I want to do vertex lit again, so that we have a oh, that kind of looked really cool. There we go. So I'm going to drag my bullet prefab back into the scene, delete this guy, and make sure that it says apply here. And then in my scripts folder, I'm going to right click, create another C# script, and I'm going to call it bullet. I'm going to attach that script to my bullet prefab. And we're going to do some tests. Eventually we're going to delete this, and when we hit spacebar, it'll fire the bullet out. But what we want to do is, when our bullet goes to the up direction or Y direction, right? When it's heading up, we don't want it to continuously go forever, right? That'll load up a lot of memory. So once it leaves the scene, let's say it leaves to about 5 or 6 on the Y-axis, we want to delete it. So let's take a look at how we code that. So let's break this up. The first thing we want to do is move our bullet upward. Well, we kind of learned that already, right? We remember that if we type in transform dot translate, we remember that we can use that method to move our character up. So I can do vector3 dot, and if you guessed that you were going to write up, you're probably right. Up. And then I'm just going to multiply this times. Let's do rocket speed, which we'll make in a second. So let's do rocket speed. And it's going to be red because we haven't created it yet. So times time dot delta time. I'm really just doing the same code we did last time. So let's make a public variable, a public int, which is an integer, called rocket speed. All right. And let's make that equal to 0. And that way, when I hit Control S here and I go back, we can adjust the rocket speed however we like. So there you go, it popped up. And I also want to delete this. So what I'm going to say here is if our current position, so we'll say transform, right? Dot, you probably guessed it, position, dot, not up, but Y, is greater than, let's say 6. We have another useful method that's already inside of Unity called destroy. And then what we want to destroy is game object, little g. Okay, so I'm going to hit Control S here. And let's press play and see what happens. Hopefully there's no errors. And it's not moving. I think the reason it's not moving is because we need to add something called a rigid body. And what a rigid body does is it adds physics or force. See how it says use gravity? So let's press play and see if that happens. And we actually don't have any rocket speed. So let's press play, see if that helps. There you go, it went too fast. Okay, let's really slow this down. I'm going to change it to 1, just so we can see it, and I'll press play. Alright, it's moving super slow, but I'm really just interested in seeing once it exits the screen what happens. And there it goes, it deletes. Okay, I'm going to change my bullet speed to maybe 5, and let's see how that looks. That's not bad. Okay, so I'm going to hit Control S to save that. Oh, actually, I forgot to even save my scene. So in the Assets folder, I'm going to make a new folder called Scenes. And then within this folder, I'm going to call it Level 1. You would do like a main menu or whatever inside of that. Alright? So I'm going to end this tutorial here, and then in the next tutorial, we'll take a look at furthering our code by maybe creating enemies.